They pinned crimes on me that I never committed. They accused me of taking bribes, humiliated me in front of everyone, and threw me out of the police force I had given my life to. In a single day, I lost everything. My career, my reputation, my friends. But one question burned inside me: who was behind this? Who wanted to destroy me? That day I swore I would find him. And he would feel exactly what I felt. The day they dragged me out of the police station, I felt like my chest was caving in. Reporters with cameras swarmed the entrance, shouting questions. "Officer, how much were you taking in bribes? Who were you protecting? Criminal gangs? Politicians? Do you deny the charges?" Their flashes blinded me. My own colleagues, people I had fought side by side with for years, stood in the background watching silently. Not one of them defended me. Some looked away. Others smirked as if they had been waiting for this moment. When the chief announced my dismissal, he didn't even look me in the eye. "Officer Daniel Cole," he said coldly, "you are hereby suspended indefinitely pending investigation. The integrity of this department cannot be compromised. You are a disgrace to the badge." His words stabbed deeper than any knife. Disgrace. I had dedicated 15 years of my life to this job. Chased murderers through back alleys. Pulled children out of burning houses. Spent nights on cold stakeouts without a second thought. And now, with a single accusation, everything was gone. That night I sat in my apartment, staring at the empty walls. My uniform, the only thing that had ever given me purpose, lay crumpled in the corner like trash. My badge was gone. My gun was gone. My future was gone. But the anger inside me only grew stronger. Because I knew one thing: I was innocent. And if I was innocent, that meant someone powerful, someone with connections, had wanted me out of the way. The question was who? The first clue came faster than I expected. 2 days after my dismissal, I received an anonymous message on my old work email. No subject, no sender. Just 3 words: check the files. I froze. My mind spun. Which files? Internal cases? Corruption reports? I logged into the system. Somehow my access hadn't yet been revoked. I opened the case database. My eyes widened. A folder had appeared under my name. Dozens of reports, fake evidence, false testimonies, staged photographs, all pointing to me as the center of a bribery network. But here's the thing: the timestamps didn't make sense. Some of those reports had been inserted only hours before my suspension. It was a setup. A deliberate frame job. And only someone inside the department could have done it. That night I barely slept. My head replayed every possible suspect. Sergeant Miller, jealous, always bitter about my promotions. Deputy Chief Harris, known for shady connections but untouchable due to his political ties. Or maybe someone even higher, someone I had never suspected. I knew one thing: this wasn't just about me. Whoever set me up wasn't just trying to end my career. They wanted me destroyed. And I wasn't going to let them win. The first step was finding allies, if any were left. I reached out to an old partner, Officer Sarah Blake. She had been one of the few people I trusted. Late that night, we met in an empty diner on the edge of the city. She slid into the booth, her eyes darting nervously. "Daniel, you shouldn't have called me. People are watching you. They're saying you're toxic. A criminal. Do you believe that?" I asked quietly. Her lips tightened. "No. But what do you want me to do? The whole department has turned against you." I leaned closer. "Someone inside set me up. I need your help to find out who." Sarah hesitated. She looked like she wanted to leave. But then she whispered. "There's talk, whispers about Deputy Chief Harris. They say he's been covering for someone big. Maybe you stumbled too close to the truth." I nodded slowly. It made sense. Months earlier, I had been investigating a string of gang-related murders. The trail had led to some suspicious names, businessmen with political protection. Harris had ordered me to drop the case. I hadn't listened. Maybe that was my mistake. As I left the diner that night, a black car pulled out of the shadows and tailed me down the street. They didn't even bother to hide. I knew then I was already being hunted. But what they didn't know was that I was ready to hunt back. The black sedan followed me for 6 blocks before I decided to test them. I turned left down an alley, no reason to go there, just instinct. The car slowed, then stopped at the corner. Its headlights cut into the dark like eyes watching me. I walked fast, pretending not to notice. My pulse pounded. Then I heard the door slam. Footsteps echoed. 2 men. Heavy boots. I reached the end of the alley, dead end. A wall. Perfect. "Daniel Cole," a voice growled. You should have stayed quiet. Two silhouettes appeared from the shadows. Both in black suits, one holding a metal pipe. Their faces weren't cops, too clean, too professional. Not gangsters either. Mercenaries. Who sent you? I demanded. They didn't answer. The one with the pipe swung. I dodged, the metal ringing against the brick wall. Adrenaline took over. 15 years on the force and muscle memory was still with me. I grabbed the man's wrist, twisted, and drove my elbow into his jaw. He dropped like a sack of concrete. The second lunged. I caught him with a knee to the gut, then slammed his head against the wall. He crumpled, groaning. I stood over them, chest heaving. Tell Harris I'm not done yet, I hissed. But deep down I knew, this went beyond Harris. He might have been the one giving orders, but someone higher was pulling the strings. By the time I made it back to my apartment, my hands were trembling. Not from fear but from fury. They had taken everything from me. Now they were trying to silence me. That meant only one thing, I was getting close to the truth. I poured myself a glass of whiskey, sat at the table, and opened my laptop. If they wanted war, I'd give them war. Step 1, gather evidence. Step 2, find the weak spot. Step 3, strike back. But I couldn't do it alone. Sarah was the only person I trusted. Maybe too much. I sent her a message, meet me tomorrow. Urgent. The next morning, we met in an abandoned parking lot near the old docks. Safer that way. She arrived in plain clothes, no badge, no radio. Her eyes scanned the area nervously before she stepped out of the car. You look like hell, she said softly. Feels about right, I replied. I handed her a USB stick. Inside are the fake files they planted on me. Timestamps, metadata. I need you to confirm it from the inside before they delete everything. She hesitated. Daniel, if they catch me helping you, I'm finished. They've already destroyed me, I said. You're my only shot. For a moment I thought she'd refuse. But then she slid the USB into her pocket and nodded. I'll see what I can find. That small flicker of loyalty meant more to me than she knew. That night I couldn't sleep. My mind replayed the alley, the mercenaries, the chief's cold words. But worst of all was the silence from Sarah. No message. No call. Nothing. At 2 a.m. my phone buzzed. Unknown number. I answered. A man's voice, calm and venomous. Walk away, Cole. Or the next body will be someone you care about. The line went dead. My stomach dropped. Sarah. I grabbed my jacket, sprinted to my car, and tore through the city toward her apartment. The door was ajar. A faint flicker of light inside. Sarah? I whispered, pushing inside. The place was wrecked. Papers scattered. Lamps shattered. A struggle. And on the wall, in red spray paint, one word. Enough. But she was gone. My fists clenched until my knuckles turned white. This wasn't just about clearing my name anymore. They wanted war? I would give them hell. The red letters on Sarah's wall burned into my mind. Enough. I stood there, fists trembling, trying to calm my breathing. The silence in the apartment was suffocating. They had taken her, the one person I could trust. My stomach churned with rage, but I forced myself to think. This wasn't random. It was a message. They wanted me scared. They wanted me broken. Instead, they had just made it personal. I searched the apartment carefully, ignoring the broken glass under my boots. Her laptop was gone. So was her phone. But there was something they missed. On the kitchen counter, half hidden under a stack of old mail, lay a small black notebook. Sarah's handwriting. I flipped it open. She had written names, dates, case numbers. At the bottom of one page she'd scrawled. Cole is right. They altered the reports. Meeting scheduled, Friday, 9 p.m., Pier 17. My pulse quickened. She had been digging and she found something. Pier 17. That was 2 nights from now. I slipped the notebook into my jacket, grabbed a knife from her kitchen, crude but better than nothing, and left before the neighbors decided to call the cops. Back in my apartment, I spread the notebook on the table beside my own files. The names matched some of the cases I'd worked before they ruined me. Buried inside there was a pattern, payoffs, missing evidence, suspects released without trial. And every case connected back to one man. Deputy Chief Marcus Harris. The man who had signed my termination papers. I felt my jaw clench so hard it hurt. Harris wasn't just protecting criminals. He was working with them. And I had just enough proof to make him sweat. The next day I stayed low. Bought a burner phone, new clothes, paid cash. If they tracked me, they wouldn't get another chance at an ambush. I spent hours digging through Sarah's notes. She was meticulous. She had even highlighted one address several times. An abandoned warehouse on the east side. At sunset I drove there. The place was a husk of rusted steel and shattered windows. Inside, the air stank of mold and oil. But tucked behind a stack of crates, I found something unexpected. A hidden office. A desk. A laptop still humming. I powered it on. Password protected. Damn. But the walls told me enough. Dozens of photos were pinned up. Politicians. Judges. Businessmen. Lines of red string connecting them like some sick spider's web. And in the middle of it all, a picture of me. X's drawn over my face. My chest tightened. I wasn't just framed, I was marked for elimination. Suddenly, the sound of tires screeched outside. Headlights cut through the cracks in the wall. They had found me. I slammed the laptop shut, grabbed a folder from the desk and ran deeper into the warehouse. Shadows moved fast. Voices shouted. Cole's inside. Don't let him out. I darted through the maze of crates, every footstep echoing like gunfire. Then, a shot. Concrete exploded near my leg. I dove behind a pillar, heart hammering. Another shot. Another. These weren't street thugs. Their aim was controlled, precise. They were here to end me. I crawled toward the back, spotted a broken window high on the wall. No choice. Climbing up the steel frame, I pulled myself through just as another bullet ripped past my shoulder. I dropped hard into the mud outside, rolled, and sprinted into the night. By the time I stopped running, I was a mile away, lungs burning. I pulled out the folder I'd grabbed. Inside were financial records, payments, coded transfers, shell companies. Millions of dollars funneled through fronts, all leading back to Harris. This was it. The proof. But it wasn't enough to expose him. He'd buried me once. He could bury evidence just as easily. I needed something bigger. Something undeniable. And I had 2 days to find it, before that meeting at Pier 17. The hours blurred together. I barely slept, barely ate. My mind replayed Sarah's disappearance, the mercenaries, the gunshots. Every move I made had to be precise. One mistake and I was finished. At dawn, I drove to a payphone and called an old contact, Detective Ruiz. He'd always been a straight shooter, one of the few who hadn't looked me in the eye when they kicked me out. He answered on the second ring. Ruiz. It's Cole. A long silence. Then, Jesus. You're supposed to be gone. They framed me, Ruiz. You know it. Harris is behind it. You shouldn't be calling me. They're watching everything. Then meet me, I pressed. Just hear me out. Tonight, under the Jefferson Bridge. Another pause. You've got one chance, Cole. If you're lying, I'm the one who brings you in. Click. I hung up, my gut twisting. Could I trust him? Or would he deliver me straight into their hands? Either way, I had no choice. That night, the bridge loomed above me like the skeleton of some giant beast. The river churned black beneath. I waited in the shadows, folder in hand. Headlights approached. A car stopped. Ruiz stepped out, trench coat pulled tight against the wind. Let's see it, he said flatly. I handed him the folder. He flipped through it, his eyes narrowing. This is damning, he muttered. But it won't be enough. Harris has friends in every corner. Judges. Media. He'll bury this too. Then we need more, I said. Ruiz looked up at me, his expression unreadable. Cole, do you realize what you're asking me to do? If I help you, I'm finished. I leaned closer. They already came for me. Now they've taken Sarah. If you don't help, they'll come for you next. None of us are safe until Harris falls. He hesitated. Then for the first time I saw it, the flicker of anger in his eyes. Pier 17, I told him. Friday night. Sarah found something there. Whatever it is, it's big. I'll be there. With or without you. Ruiz slipped the folder back into his coat. If you're right, I'll come. But if you're wrong, Cole, this ends with a bullet. He turned, walked back to his car and drove off. I stood under the bridge, fists clenched, watching his taillights fade. The noose was tightening. Harris was closing in. Sarah's life hung in the balance. And I had less than 48 hours to turn the tide. When I finally returned to my apartment, I locked the door, shut the blinds and sat at the table. The whiskey bottle was almost empty. My reflection in the glass looked like a stranger. Hollow eyes, clenched jaw, every line on my face carved by fury. They thought they'd broken me. But they hadn't seen anything yet. I would find Sarah. I would expose Harris. And when this was over, they would regret the day they framed me. Because I wasn't going down quietly. I was coming for them. 2 days. That was all I had. Every second felt like a weight pressing on my chest. Sarah's face haunted me whenever I closed my eyes. I remembered her laugh, the way she would roll her eyes at my stubbornness. Now all I could see was the empty apartment, the shattered glass, the word painted on the wall. Enough. I couldn't lose her. Not like this. Pier 17 wasn't just a location. It was a stage. Whatever was planned there would either destroy Harris or destroy me. And I had to be ready. I spent the next day preparing. Weapons, disguises, escape routes. I forced myself to think like them, ruthless, calculating, cold. By nightfall, I was no longer just a disgraced cop. I was a predator waiting for the kill. The docks were silent when I arrived, the fog rolling in from the water like smoke from a battlefield. Ruiz was already there, leaning against his car, scanning the shadows. When he saw me, he gave a small nod. "You sure about this?" he asked. "No," I admitted. "But it's the only shot we've got." We moved together through the fog, weapons hidden under our coats. The creak of the old wood beneath our boots was deafening in the silence. At the far end of the pier, floodlights snapped on. My eyes narrowed against the glare. And there she was, Sarah. Bound to a chair, a gag over her mouth, eyes wide with fear. I froze. Rage flooded through me. A voice echoed from the shadows. Smooth, commanding. Well. The fallen cop returns. Harris stepped into the light, flanked by two armed men. His suit was immaculate, his smile venomous. "You should have stayed gone, Cole. But no, you just couldn't let it go." I took a step forward, fists clenched. "Let her go, Harris. This is between you and me." He chuckled. "It's bigger than that. You think you've uncovered something? You've barely scratched the surface." He gestured, and one of his men tossed a thick envelope onto the ground. Papers spilled out, photographs, bank transfers, names. "Go on." "Every cop, every judge, every politician I own. You think anyone will believe you? You're nothing but a disgraced officer with a grudge." He leaned closer. "The world already thinks you're dirty. Why not give them the truth?" The barrel of a gun glinted in the floodlight. Before I could move, Ruiz stepped forward. "Enough, Harris," he growled. "You've gone too far." For a moment I thought he was with me. That maybe, just maybe, I wasn't alone. But then Harris smirked. And Ruiz raised his gun. My stomach dropped. "You son of a..." I started. "Sorry, Cole," Ruiz muttered, his voice hollow. "You were already a dead man. At least this way I walk away breathing." The betrayal cut deeper than any bullet could. My one chance at an ally, gone. Sarah's muffled cry pierced the night. Harris stepped forward, smug. "You see? Everyone has a price. Everyone but you. And that's why you'll never win." I felt the rage ignite inside me, burning away the despair. Maybe I couldn't trust anyone. Maybe I was already finished. But if I was going down, I'd take them with me. Time slowed. Ruiz's finger tightened on the trigger. Harris smirked, certain he'd won. But they underestimated me. In one swift motion, I dropped to the ground, drew the pistol hidden at my ankle, and fired. The shot slammed into Ruiz's shoulder, spinning him backward with a cry of pain. His gun clattered to the dock. Chaos erupted. Harris shouted for his men. Bullets tore through the air, splinters flying from the pier. I rolled behind a crate, heart pounding, gun hot in my hands. Sarah screamed against her gag, struggling against the ropes. One of Harris's men charged, shotgun raised. I ducked, fired twice, and he collapsed with a grunt. The second came from the side, blade flashing. He lunged, slashing across my arm. Pain seared, but I used it, grabbed his wrist, twisted, and slammed his head into the crate. He crumpled, unconscious. Only Harris remained. He stood there, gun leveled at Sarah's head, calm as ever. "One more step and she dies," he sneered. My vision tunneled. Every instinct screamed to shoot him. But one wrong move and Sarah was gone. I lowered my gun slightly, breathing hard. "You win, Harris. Just let her go." He chuckled darkly. "You think I'm that stupid? No, Cole. She dies. You die. And the world keeps spinning my way." His finger began to squeeze the trigger. And then Ruiz. Bleeding, staggering but not finished. He tackled Harris from the side, sending the gun skittering across the dock. I didn't hesitate. I dove, grabbed the weapon, and aimed. Bang. The shot echoed across the water. Harris froze, eyes wide, blood blooming across his chest. He staggered, choking, disbelief written across his face. Then he toppled backward into the black water, swallowed by the depths. Silence fell. Only the sound of the waves remained. I dropped the gun, rushing to Sarah. My hands shook as I tore away the ropes and gag. She collapsed into my arms, sobbing against my chest. "You came," she whispered. "I'll always come, I murmured, holding her tight. Ruiz slumped against a crate, clutching his bleeding shoulder. His face was pale, his eyes heavy. You got him, he rasped. I stared at him, torn between rage and pity. You betrayed me. He gave a weak, bitter smile. I tried to survive. Guess we both did. Sirens wailed in the distance. Cops, maybe Harris's men, maybe both. I grabbed Sarah's hand, pulling her up. We need to go. Now. She nodded, tears streaking her face. As we disappeared into the fog, I looked back one last time. Harris was gone. The pier was silent. But his empire, his network, it was still out there. And I knew this wasn't the end. Not yet. Weeks passed. Sarah recovered slowly, but she never left my side. Together, we pieced through the files, the evidence, the names Harris had tried to bury. It wasn't enough to destroy them all. Not yet. But it was enough to start a fire. One name at a time. One corrupt official at a time. I wasn't just clearing my name anymore. I was tearing down an empire. And I wouldn't stop until every last one of them fell. Because they had taken everything from me. And I was going to make them pay.